Hello, everybody. Hope you are having a fantastic Saturday, precursor to St. Patrick's Day. We're doing an episode of the Reach Films podcast here on the channel today. So if you're new here, my name's Jeff Fagan, filmmaker, DP, based in South Florida. And today we're here to talk about a few things. So number one, if you're here in the chat, let me know that you're here, you can hear me, and we will move forward. So today we have two really big topics. One is going to be the fact that a major company on Kickstarter has announced their bankruptcy. They're called Dropkey. They created blow-up green screen studios that had built-in lighting, made it really easy for content creators, whatever, to make green screen studio content. And as of last night, all backers, Kickstarter members got an email basically just saying, we've gone out of business, we're entering bankruptcy, sorry for the inconvenience. No real information. So I'm going to kind of go over the history of Dropkey, and that leads into the state of the film industry, because for those of you who are not aware, there is a lot going on in specifically the film sector of the video industry right now, and a lot of people are not working. And it is just going to get worse over the next few months as there's a potential IATSE and Teamster strike, which is essentially, for those of you who aren't in the industry, a lot of the crew members now are about to go on strike in negotiations with the Producers Guild in Hollywood. So we're going to talk about that, the impacts, and more. So if you have any questions, make sure to put them in the comments, and I'll get to them later in today's episode. But first, let's start off with the the Dropkey. It's hard with all these drops. Let me bring in Dropkey right here. Boom. Sorry, this is the first time I'm using this setup, so cancel. Let's do this. Share. There we go. So here is Dropkey. Now, Dropkey, let me also make sure my audio is coming through right. Test 1, 2, there we go. So Dropkey, here is their Kickstarter. And as you can see, they are a green screen platform. It looks pretty cool. You see here is the Dropkey. This is the basic one. It wasn't, it was relatively inexpensive. It was around $500 to kickstart this thing. And they were supposed to be selling them for a little over $1,000. It had built-in lighting, as you can see here. It was meant to be used with iPads and iPhones, trying to make it accessible to everybody. My plans were to use it with normal cameras, but I was very interested in this. It has this little case that was supposed to come in with it, right on the bottom right there. And shortly after the Kickstarter went out, they did another Kickstarter for a Dropkey 2.0, which was kind of a red flag after all of us kickstarted this. And they raised the price, and it was around $1,000, I believe. They have it listed here as the Dropkey Pop-Up Studio Professional for $11.99, which I guess they ended up changing it from Dropkey 2.0 to Dropkey Professional. So it was interesting. There were a decent amount of backers. There were 327 backers, but it wasn't a small amount of money. And for essentially 4 years, we kept getting a lot of messages from the owner of Dropkey, Rock. I don't know how to say his last name, Scherer, I believe. Anyways, he kept sending emails saying, after a year or so, our drop keys were ready to go, but they had to figure out shipping because the shipping logistical changes cost so much because of the post-pandemic. And it's kind of like whatever. Everybody was using those pandemic excuses. But after a while, there started to get a lot of red flags. Like, oh, we're raising more money. We're doing this. We're sponsored by this. And I'm sitting here after a while, and I'm like, I don't know what's going on with these guys, but something is not right. I personally tried a few times just to get refunded, and I know people did get refunded because people were getting really angry at these guys, but I never got refunded. It just didn't sit right with me. And, I wrote to them, and they said, again, we're going to ship these. They're sitting in a warehouse. but we have to figure out the logistics of shipping because it's going to cost more than we originally anticipated. So I just kind of forgot about it. I kind of gave up on it, figured it, I was probably never going to get it. And then officially last night when we had the email, let's see if I could pop that up. Boom. Yeah, I can pop that up. So let's screen share that. This is why I'm doing a live stream today, because it's easier to share a lot of this stuff. Let's go to slides. Oop. Go to screen share. Screenshot. There we go. So this is the email that I got. Let me see if I can make it a little bit bigger. Boom. So, dear Kickstarter backers and pre-sale customers with a heavy heart, we are sorry to report that Dropkey is in the process of bankruptcy. We weren't able to acquire additional financing required to produce and ship studios, which again, the Kickstarter was successful. So why are you saying you needed the additional financing required to produce and ship studios? Don't understand that. Thanks for your support and sorry for the inconvenience, Rock founder. And that was from the founder, Rock, of Dropkey. It was, like I said, I didn't know how it was going to go. I thought maybe they were just going to fade away, but that was their official going out of business bankruptcy email to all the backers, which kind of stunk. It is what it is. Give me 1 second as I just want to make sure that the audio is good on my. So let me also move on to the next subject, because I think that's enough. That they were kind of the first domino effect on the bigger issue of today's video. And sorry, I'm just trying to make sure my audio is working. I'm using a brand new setup here today, using the same cameras, but now I actually have my iMac set next to me so I can actually do more live stream content. But I'm also using a capture card instead of my HDMI dongle. So I'm trying to see if everything's working. So I'll have to probably cut this out later on when everything goes live. Let's go here. Testing. 1, 2, 3.
Do it for less.
Of course, sometimes these non-skippable ads can get in the way. Testing. 1, 2, 3. Perfect. All right. Just want to make sure my audio is going because I have not used this Camlink setup in quite a few years. Just for you video nerds who want to understand why I'm trying to test all this out. So I've been using the FX30 with the USB-C out in order to do some live stream content on the go. And when you do that, not only do you not get 4K resolution, but you're not able to use your custom LUTs. And so when I'm here in the home studio, I've been using the A10 Mini, but when I'm just doing one camera, the A10 Mini is kind of overkill. It takes up room on my desk here. So I rather just use a capture card going straight into the PC. But this is the first time I actually hooked up this Camlink that I used to use a few years ago. So anyways, let's move on to the bigger subject. Dropkey is not the only company to announce bankruptcy in the past few months. They're not the only company to make a really big move in the past few months. There's been an audio company that's gone out of business, major audio company. And then, of course, Red didn't go out of business, but Red has been acquired by Nikon. And I don't know if that completely has to do with what's going on in these times, but that is kind of a different thing, unexpected. You see a lot of cameras being up for sale by a lot of operators, whether it's in Atlanta, LA, New York. A lot of union camera operators are selling their equipment, and in some situations quite low. They're selling off cars, they're selling off all of this. And unfortunately, that has to do with the upcoming potential strike and the current status of work in the industry. So I want to bring up this article from Variety just to kind of lay down what I'm going to talk about today. It's about how IATSE and Teamsters warn of another Hollywood strike at a massive rally. This was earlier this month, and they're warning you to put your helmets on. So what's happening is, as you probably know, last year there was a writer's strike and there was an actor strike. And a lot of it stemmed around AI and also kind of updating contracts to be updated to the streaming world, because a lot of the streamers over the years were basically saying, streaming isn't viable. We need more years in order to make this like a proper viable business. We're many years into the game, where Netflix has more than 10 years streaming. Paramount Plus has now been streaming for around 7 years almost. Streaming is not a new thing anymore, and it's time that a lot of the unions had their contracts updated to the modern standard. And the actors and the writers got to have their say. They went on strike and they negotiated. But now it's time for Teamsters and IATSE to kind of bring their level of their contracts and kind of their standards up to modern date here in 2024. On top of that, that's not the only reason that a lot of people are concerned right now. There has been a major influx of people moving into the major film markets, such as really the core one has been Atlanta. A lot of people have been moving to LA and also out of Los Angeles because of everything that happened there during the pandemic. But a lot of people were moving there prior to the pandemic. And in major film markets, there's just been a massive influx of people moving for film production. But what's happened is there hasn't really been a huge increase in the past 4 years, at least, of television shows. Of course, there was a big uptick when the pandemic happened and streaming got way more popular because we were stuck in our houses. And so a lot of companies were betting on streaming and making streaming content. But if you look at the data, there hasn't really been that much more production over the past 4 years. It hasn't been increasing. And now we're seeing companies like Disney who are taking record losses, and they are going to start decreasing their overall amount of production. Well, over the past however many years, not only has production stayed about the same, again, we have had a complete influx of crew come in from all over the world, all over America for sure, to come work in film production, because a lot of people you're interested in whatever it may be. You're interested in camera, you're interested in sound, makeup. It's just there are a lot of crew members out there. And even when we were working on Axnar a few weeks ago, there were a lot of crew who were basically gearing to buckle down, I guess I should say, hunker down, and get ready for this mess of not working for, I don't know if I want to say the rest of the year. I don't want to be that pessimistic, but definitely the summer months, there's going to be most likely a huge slump of work. And some of you may know, really in 2019, I was considering moving to Atlanta to work on film production, and that's why I was going there a lot. It's how I wound up as the DP on Axnar. I got some really cool opportunities being able to stay with friends, working up in Atlanta. And one thing led to another, and also the pandemic hit, and I kind of had my priorities change. I saw a lot of other people were doing it as far as moving up to Atlanta. I didn't really think it was getting to where we are now, but I was just like, you know what? Me personally, I know that financially I can do better being the bigger fish in smaller markets than just being a fish in a massive market where you're competing with a lot of people who are just as good, if not better than you, wanting the same money. So I ended up, staying in South Florida. I moved to Fort Lauderdale, but I stayed down here. And over the years, I've just seen more and more people that I know. A lot of them are acquaintances, but moved to these markets, and now they're sitting here and they're selling cars, they're selling computers, they're selling pretty much anything they can just to really get by. And it's unfortunate, and it's going to get worse. So I kind of wanted to come out here and discuss it with you, and also let you know, if you're in one of these positions and you're working in Atlanta, you're working in LA, definitely be smart with your money right now. Prepare for the worst, hope for the best. If you're out there and you're not necessarily in the film production and you're wondering, why is everybody selling their cameras? What's going on? Like, is there this big thing, major cameras coming out? That's not really what's going on. If you look at who's selling it, you're going to notice a lot of people are in production that are selling their gear. And I wouldn't necessarily panic. I wouldn't also panic and sell your gear thinking you need to sell your gear because everyone else is selling theirs. It's just part of it. I've been there before. Like even last year, I sold my red Komodo because I wasn't using it that much. I was using other cameras I had, and I had the need. I could use the money from selling the red Komodo at that point in time for bigger things that were going on in my life. Since then, I got a Komodo back. But at the time, I just needed the cash to do what I needed to do. And I think a lot of people are in that situation. So if you need to sell, of course, do what you got to do. Be prepared that you are in a flooded market. A lot of people are selling gear right now, especially if you're in those markets. So it's going to be harder. But just be smart. If you're in the position to buy right now, you may be able to find some really great opportunities to buy gear as a lot of this stuff is happening. You may have your eyes on this camera or this lens that you've been wanting for a while, and you may be able to scoop it up for a good deal. And, you help someone out that really needs the cash. And at the same time, they're helping you out by getting a good deal. But definitely don't panic buy, don't panic sell. Scott Balcom was talking about this on his channel the other day, and he was totally right that, we're in for some tough times ahead for the film industry. I really hope we're wrong. I hope that maybe, the producers who are in charge of the negotiations, I'm kind of hoping they've learned from the writer's strike and the actor's strike. But seeing how long it took those strike, they were striking for like 3 months or more. It just took a long time. And I feel like they're going to try and play hardball with these unions, and production's going to stop. And so if you're a crew member, like I said, kind of just buckle down, prepare, save as much as you can. One of my buddies who is a gaffer and key grip in Atlanta, he had to get a job at Walmart just to pay the bills. And like, I feel for him. And, you got to do what you got to do, especially to kind of keep yourself up and afloat during these times. So my heart goes out to a lot of you guys, because I know, a lot of you are struggling. And what I could say is, things will get better. I think, unfortunately, there's probably going to be somewhat of an exodus in the film industry of people who can't afford to wait things out if things get really bad. But I think once this all happens, hopefully we'll come out of the other side a lot better, a lot stronger, a lot smarter, and be able to work towards a better future in film, because there's a lot of things going on in the industry, especially when it comes to work practices, that really need to be changed. A lot of people I know who work in the industry are kind of over it. The hours are crazy. They're not getting paid that well. And there's really no social life. And I think things need to change in order for it to be a thriving industry for everybody. And I hope that these changes can be made this year, because it only benefits everybody. Maybe it doesn't benefit the producers, but they make a lot of money as it is, and it needs to be fair. So I hope you kind of take what I went over in today's video. I don't mean to be doom and gloom if you think that's what I'm saying. I'm not trying to be that way at all. I'm just trying to prepare all of you and really just be somewhat of a voice of reason that this is going to happen, but we see it coming, so just be prepared. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask in the comments below. If you got knowledge and value out of today's video, as always, make sure to hit that like, subscribe, and notification bell. There's going to be some more content coming out on the channel, specifically with the red Komodo in anamorphic. Especially, we have wrapped Axonar, the Star Trek fan film, and there's going to be some content coming out soon once some of these videos get released, so I can kind of go over them with everybody. And of course, FX30 content with RAW and anamorphic. there's a lot of content coming soon. It's been a very crazy few months over here, and I've been very fortunate to be busy with work over at Jazz Is, where I do a lot of their content creator. I'm also the publisher over there. So it's been a mixed bag of video work and publishing responsibilities. But I'm happy to be able to do some more content here now as things kind of get into a better schedule for me. So again, thank you all for joining me. I know this was a random live stream on a Saturday, but I wanted to do this as I got home before the St. Patrick's Day shenanigans happened tonight. For any of you who are celebrating, I hope you stay safe, have a great time, and have a great weekend. So again, thank you all for joining me, and I will catch you all in the next video.